Greetings everyone, I'm the Morning Star. I'm sure that if you spent enough time in the God debate online, you will have come across the phrase, extraordinary claims require extraordinary evidence. This is a phrase from Carl Sagan and has gained much popularity among the atheist community. At first glance, this seems like it makes sense. If a claim is ordinary, then ordinary evidence should suffice. But if it's an extraordinary one, you need more than just ordinary evidence to establish the legitimacy of the claim. You would need extraordinary evidence. But while it might seem like a great concept at first, it does raise a serious question. What exactly constitutes an extraordinary claim? There are three ways in which one can say that some claim is an extraordinary one instead of being ordinary. The first is to say there's something internal to the claim that causes it to become an extraordinary one. The second is to say there's something external to the claim that causes it to become extraordinary. The third is to say that one arbitrarily chooses if a claim is ordinary or extraordinary. I think it isn't hard to see why we should dismiss the idea of extraordinary claims being a legitimate category on the lines of an arbitrary line. And so I will be focusing on those first 2 points for this video. If what makes a claim extraordinary is something internal to the claim, then that means that, regardless of context and circumstances, if a claim is extraordinary, it will always be extraordinary. The issue is that this is just not the case. For example, if I tell you that I'm going to be going to Japan in a couple days, and we'll be back in a week or so, that seems like quite the ordinary claim today. But go back even just a couple hundred years, and this would be seen as quite the extraordinary claim. It's just like if I say, I'm going to Mars next month, and we'll be back in a year. This is an extraordinary claim today, but it's conceivable that in a few hundred years, this will be quite the ordinary claim. I see no reason to think the God claim is any different, that it, unlike the other examples, is extraordinary by its own merit. If somebody wishes to claim that the God claim is, by its own merit, extraordinary, then I think they have the burden of proof to show that. But until then, I think that it's safe to say that what makes a claim extraordinary has to be something external to the claim itself. But this is where the issue arises. Anything that you can appeal to as to why a claim is extraordinary rather than ordinary would be evidence that said claim is false. That means it isn't that the claim is an extraordinary one, it's just that there's already reason to doubt that the claim is true. However, when one simply calls the God claim an extraordinary one, it leads the discussion away from whatever those reasons to doubt might be. That doesn't stop those reasons from being relevant to the discussion. Any honest discussion on whether or not the gods exist must include those reasons, and so anything done to avoid discussing those points would be inherently dishonest. That doesn't mean that I think that people are saying the God claim is extraordinary are doing so maliciously to avoid talking about those reasons. I think it's likely the case that many people just are unaware that they hold on to those very reasons or don't feel they're relevant to the discussion. We often hold on to views without realizing it, and oftentimes our views, without us even realizing it, shape how we perceive every other claim that we evaluate. So I think that it's actually very important to evaluate why do you think a claim is extraordinary? What are those reasons? And then, instead of just saying that a claim is extraordinary and thus requires extraordinary evidence, when you're discussing it, you need to bring up what those reasons are. Otherwise, you very well could be missing a key part of the discussion. It seems to me, therefore, that the concept that extraordinary claims require extraordinary evidence isn't actually all that useful. It seems to hide what these reasons to doubt might be by the person using this idea. It can also lead to a false sense of neutrality where you think that you're being neutral on the subject, just dealing with an extraordinary claim, when in fact you do have reason to doubt that claim exists. It's not a point of neutrality. And so I think that we should reject the usage of this phrase. I think we should even reject the idea that any claim is actually an extraordinary one. Instead of that, we should focus on what those reasons are and discuss them. Because for all we know, those very reasons and the discussion on them could become the most productive and interesting part of the debate and dialogue.